Hello and welcome to Beyond the Corporate Hangover with me, Emily Derschler. If you are a woman in your 30s or beyond and have left a lengthy spell in corporate to set up an online business and are feeling stuck, I'm here to help. In this podcast, we'll be digging into what it takes to go from employee to entrepreneur and build an amazing business that showcases your unique expertise. We'll look at the challenges women face, those limiting beliefs and behaviours from our corporate life that keep holding us back, and I'll provide practical ways to help you move forwards as a confident business owner. So if you are feeling overwhelmed, worried or confused about how to make your business a success, and you want to shake off the corporate hangover, tune in every fortnight. Are you ready? Let's go. Hello and welcome to episode 4 of Beyond the Corporate Hangover. It is so lovely to have you back with me and I hope you're doing well. Today's episode is a little bit different because I wanted to focus on something really practical, something that's helped me a lot and something that will take no time at all to implement, but that can be very transformational. I know that sounds like a bold claim, but stick with me. I promise you it is true. So today's episode is all about habits, daily habits that set you up for a good day. Now, these can be applied to anyone at any time in any role or stage of life. So you can apply them to your personal life or your professional life. Now, of course, I'm going to look at these through a business lens because that's what I'm all about, but it really doesn't matter. They're very practical and very useful for general life. So I'm going to give you 3 habits, and I challenge you to come back to me and tell me, give it a little while, but come back to me and tell me once you've implemented these and have been using them daily, that they have not made a profound difference. You see, I'm sticking with the bold claim. I'm running with it. So let's dive in to habit number 1, which is to set an intention for the day. Now, I don't mean the things that we're going to get done. This is not about I'm going to clear the 80 emails from my inbox or finish that presentation. This is about the person we intend to be. Now, for those of you who've listened to episode 2, you may remember that I talk about intentions for routine and structure. And I talk about being intentional with tasks and projects and so on. And that still applies. These are not mutually exclusive. And in fact, your personal intention could and should inform the intentions you set for your workload. But what do I mean? So, in corporate, we are conditioned to believe that the value of each day is measured on output and all the things we do. So how busy we are, how many emails we answer, how many things we tick off the to-do list, and how we make the most of each day. And that's because in the Western world, we are obsessed with productivity and performance. Being busy has become a badge of honor. And sadly, exhaustion is normalized and rest is often treated like laziness. So eventually, many of us learn to measure our success by how much we produce. The trouble with that approach is that it sets us up here in our minds, to feel stressed and anxious and worried that we're not going to achieve. You see, our thoughts, our actions, and our experience cannot be separated. They're all parts of the same story. Our thoughts impact our actions, and our actions impact our experience. And the way we experience the world shapes what we believe is possible. So the doing mindset can actually be quite damaging. If I start the day feeling I'm behind, I'm overwhelmed, there's so much to do, I'll never catch up, then I carry that energy into everything, into my communication, my decision making, even my patience and my creativity. And I become more reactive, more tense, more self-critical and more scattered. And the interesting thing is, when we approach the day like that, we often end up creating evidence that reinforces those feelings. So we rush, we lose focus, we avoid difficult tasks, we struggle to think clearly. And all of this makes the day feel hard. Being intentional is basically the opposite of that. When we choose how we're going to show up, when we interrupt the doing mindset, it can be really transformational. So as I said, the intention is about the person we're going to be and what we're going to feel. So I may decide to be calm, decisive, or brave. These are all positive. Note how no one decides they're going to feel anxious or stressed. Why? Because nobody wants to be. And this matters because our intentions become our thoughts. And as I said before, our thoughts impact our actions, and our actions impact our experience. So if I decide I'm going to be calm, I'm more likely to pause before reacting to a difficult situation. If my intention is to be brave, I'm more likely to put that post out on social media or send that message to somebody I look up to. It doesn't magically create a perfect day, but it changes the lens through which I experience the day. And that's important when you work for yourself and there's no structure. If you spend a lot of time alone inside your own head, your internal world suddenly matters a lot more. Your mindset, your emotional state, your self-talk, and your ability to self-regulate. So setting an intention shifts the focus away from what do I need to prove today and towards how do I want to experience today? What version of myself do I want to practice being? And I say practice because this isn't a one and done. It's like a muscle. And by practicing and repeating daily choices, it becomes easier to live them. And I think there's something really powerful about starting the day very deliberately by consciously deciding that I'm going to be, or even more powerfully actually, deciding that I am something. So today I am calm. Today I am courageous. Or today I trust myself. Today I am moving through the day differently. So that's habit number 1. And I encourage you at the start of each day to take just 5 minutes. 5 minutes of quiet calm. We can all find 5 minutes in our day just to close your eyes and really set that intention so that you believe it, because it's only when you believe it that you'll make it happen. Habit number 2. Pay attention to your mental and physical state. Now this one is linked to habit 1 in that the corporate world isn't designed for how people actually function. We do the 9 to 5, have an hour for lunch, and then just keep going. And that is not normal. Nobody can maintain their energy for 8 hours, especially if you're anything like me, right after lunch, and especially in the intense heat that we've had recently. But in corporate, that's largely irrelevant. Ignore, keep going, push through, etc. So we override our natural cadence. But we all know that our best work doesn't happen when we're tired or depleted. For me, I know that early morning is the best time of day. That's when my thinking is clearest, my creativity is strong, and my communication is sharp. And I tend to do a lot very early in the day. But right after lunch, that is when I dip. And this can change even from day to day. So some days I feel more focused, mentally sharp, energetic, and other days I feel slower and perhaps more emotional, more distracted, or just more drained. And this is information that we shouldn't ignore. We are not machines designed for constant high performance. And I think one of the healthiest things that we can do is to stop expecting ourselves to operate at maximum capacity every minute of the day. So now I try to work with myself instead of against myself. This might mean doing the creative work when my energy is high, avoiding big decisions when I'm tired, and recognizing when I need rest instead of trying to power through. It also means paying attention to the signs that I'm overloaded before it escalates and I crash. We often ignore these signs. For example, struggling to focus, rereading the same sentence 5 times, procrastinating on simple tasks, feeling mentally foggy, or overcomplicating things that are normally straightforward. The quality of our work is deeply connected to the state we're in while we're doing it. We talk a lot about time management, but we need to marry that with energy management, because a 30-minute break could result in a much more productive afternoon than powering through because you're on the clock. With all that being said, if you are in corporate and you have no choice but to do the 9 to 5 Monday to Friday thing, then it's just about organising your day as best you can to manage those peaks and troughs, and about coming back to your intention, which you will have set in the morning, right? Habit number 3, end your day noticing evidence of progress. Now, this one's a bit newer for me, but it has genuinely changed how I experience my work and my day-to-day life. I think many of us have become incredibly skilled at noticing what we haven't done, or what went wrong, what we forgot, what still isn't finished, or what we should or could have done better. And it creates this feeling that no matter how much we do, we're never going to get through it all. It's never going to be quite enough. But you can work all day, solve problems, support people, make great decisions, create things, move your business forwards, and still go to bed thinking, I didn't finish that today. I've got so much to do tomorrow. And this is really sad, because instead of celebrating our success, our brain is constantly scanning for failure, lack, or unfinished work. And as a result, we start building an internal narrative that says, I'm behind, I'm not doing enough, everybody else is coping better than me, I'm failing. Even when there is actual evidence to the contrary. And again, this goes back to this relentless focus on performance, targets, and constant improvement. You finish one thing and immediately move on to the next. There's rarely a moment to stop and acknowledge, that was actually really hard and I smashed it. I handled that situation well, or I've learned something today. So one thing I consciously try to do now is look for evidence of progress instead. It could be evidence of learning, of resilience or patience, or evidence of doing something differently or more easily than before. And it can show up in many ways, sometimes really small ways like, I took a moment of pause before responding to that colleague or client who really gets on my nerves. It could be something bigger like, I asked for help instead of struggling alone, or I handled that situation really well. And this kind of growth is truly transformational, even though it might be harder to spot sometimes, because you develop some really amazing capabilities. The courage to ask for help, the ability to recover faster, the confidence to make decisions, the willingness to try again, and the capacity to stay calm under pressure. It all counts. So many people are walking around with an inner voice that is relentlessly critical, that spots every flaw, but rarely acknowledges and celebrates these great moments. But developing this habit can build your confidence enormously, especially for those of you who are working alone. Whether it's a huge accomplishment or a tiny shift, it all counts, and it all shows that you are growing and that you are getting better every day. But how do we ensure that we are implementing these habits? How do we make sure that we are following through on the things we say at the beginning of the day, particularly with regards to our intentions? Now, for me, I'm a very visual person, so for a long while I had a post-it note stuck to my screen just to remind myself to keep coming back to that intention, to keep telling myself, to keep reminding myself of the person that I decided to be at the beginning of the day. So you could do something like that, or perhaps set up a series of alarms throughout the day, just to make sure you're checking in with yourself. And again, at the end of the day, to make sure you look back and really take note of what you learned and what you did well. You could even write it down if you're into journaling or just in a little notebook. Keep a note of these things and look back in 3 months' time. These are really simple but powerful ways to prove that you are developing and growing and making a difference every single day. So to recap, whether for your work, your home life, or both, habit 1, set a daily intention for the person you are going to be. Habit 2, pay attention to your mental and physical state and adjust where you can. And habit 3, look for evidence of progress at the end of each day. I promise you, there will always be something to celebrate. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. It has been such a joy to be with you today, and I will look forward to seeing you next time.